Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm here with the Lord of Fate Grand Order, Anastasia Lostbelt, right? So yeah, the very first Lostbelt, yeah, finally getting to this. So yeah, I finally just put in a poll, or we're not really though, right? I think I put it in one before, but yeah, just finally looking at this, right? Just to get the Lostbelts out the way, because I think after this, yeah, it's just gonna be mostly character lore videos, right? And yeah, this one got most voted, obviously, I guess, right? Since, yeah, I still haven't looked at it yet. So yeah, I think I might do another poll for next week, right? Right after this one. And I am gonna do half and half here, because, yeah, I don't have much time right now to do, all, 38 minutes of this, right? But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much about it. So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy this. Make sure you like and subscribe. And yeah, let's get this reaction started.
I just took what they gave me, did all the favors, they never repay me. It worked in my favor, cause nobody
brand new whip, got no keys. Tell them my clothes, no starch, please. Soon as you can go leave. Got M's in the bank like S and D. Cartier glasses, I won't even peek at you. Yellow Ferrari like Pikachu. I got him waiting and watching what he gon' do. Tryna pee what I do, tryna steal my move. 2500 for a new pair of tennis shoes, the same price.
Welcome back to Otaku Daikun.
Okay. Yeah, we got the
Today,
regular
we finally
Daikun
cover the
right
lore
here,
of the
right?
Lostbelts themselves,
Not the older
starting
version.
with the very first,
But no, let's see.
Anastasia Permafrost
So yeah,
Empire,
finally looking at
otherwise
this,
known
right?
as the Russian Lostbelt.
Oh, the Russian,
As usual,
okay.
we're here to both summarize the story's events while also presenting it
So
in
you
a
get
way
to learn
that's
about
easiest to
him.
understand, with all the secrets laid out on the table. If you want to experience the story in its raw form, feel free to play it yourself or check out my live stream playlist that covers my entire journey through Fate Grand Order. That said, let's get started. Last we left off, the alien god began its invasion of the Earth. The 7 Lostbelts manifested in their respective geographical locations, while all the rest of the land was bleached.
Yep, I already know
The
about that,
remnants of
right?
Caldea, taking refuge
So
in the
yeah, at
Shadow
least
World,
I
managed to
know
escape this
something about
calamity
this,
by
right?
venturing into void space. But for everyone else, the following 3 months were hell. Humanity fought against this bleaching of the Earth, but it wasn't the kind of thing one could fight with weaponry. Ultimately, humanity was mostly wiped out in a matter of days. Miraculously, though, there were survivors who took refuge in barren villages. Even so, they were left with no real goal or future. All they could do was pray amid the vast empty white they inhabited. One man, however, decided to venture out into that wasteland in hopes of discovering how and why it had all happened. This man, David Bluebook, took an abandoned motorcycle and began a journey to the one place on Earth, aside from the Lostbelts, that was never bleached: Area 51 in southern Nevada. Records at Area 51
Oh,
chronicle
so
how a creature
yeah,
named
here we go
Specimen E
back,
crash
right?
landed
At
on
Area
Earth shortly
51.
after humanity was saved from incineration.
Yeah, I remember this from like
Researchers brought
way
this
back,
specimen,
right? The
which was a
4th
creature
Lost Belt,
that
I
looked
think,
like tree
right?
roots, to Area 51 in hopes of nursing it back to health. More and more of this story gets revealed to us with each Lostbelt, as David gets closer to Area 51 and learns about the experiments done on Specimen E. I'll reveal that info as it's revealed to players, but even just from this, it seems very likely that the alien god came to Earth in order to find Specimen E. Regardless, it's clear that 3 months have passed since the start of the alien god's invasion, which means that the cryptors have had that much time to cultivate their respective Lostbelts. But what exactly does that even mean? Well, I said before that a Lostbelt is a timeline or alternative universe that would otherwise be pruned from existence for deviating too far from what the universe considers to be proper human history. In other words, the Lostbelts are all worlds that were doomed, but now have a chance to continue because of the alien god. Each of the Lostbelts is being preserved by a fantasy tree, or tree of emptiness, which took root in them 3 months prior. As these trees grow, their respective Lostbelts' territories grow, taking up more of the otherwise blank world outside them. This is how the Lostbelts compete with one another. Which one can grow its tree the largest, such that it consumes the other Lostbelts and becomes the new history humanity takes? That said, it's not an easy process, in part thanks to the Lostbelt Kings. All of these Lostbelts are similar in that at some point, they began to drastically deviate from proper human history. Turns out that when this deviation occurs, there is almost always a ruler present who continues to survive going forward, presiding over human civilization. These are the Lostbelt Kings, and they all have their own feelings regarding the state of their world and its future. not all of them take favorably to the cryptors or fantasy trees. Such is the case for Russia's Lostbelt king, Ivan the Terrible. In
Ivan,
proper human
okay.
history, Ivan was a Tsar of Russia, ruling the nation from 1547 to 1584. He was revered as a devout follower of God, but also feared for his sudden fits of paranoia and rage. His mental instability caused him to lash out and kill both his retainers, and in one famous incident, his own son. In this Lostbelt, however, history diverged in the year 1570 AD, when an asteroid hit the Earth, starting another ice age. The harsh cold killed most of Earth's inhabitants, as well as proliferated various forms of demonic beasts who now roam the land. Hoping to save his people from the eternal winter, Ivan the Terrible recruited mages who could combine humans with magical beasts to create a new species called the Yaga. Unlike ordinary humans, the Yaga could live on despite the frigid climate.
Oh, and then,
So yes,
yeah, there they
while
go
everyone
right there,
else went
right?
extinct,
Yep,
Russia's
the
humans were
Yaga.
transformed into Yaga, and Ivan set an example by being the first among them. He combined himself with an ancient beast found dormant within Russia's tundra, becoming a horrific giant mammoth that ruled over the Yaga as their thunderous emperor for around 450 years. Likely due to its stagnation and tyranny, this history was designated to be pruned by the universe. This world was coming to an end, but was allowed to continue with the arrival of the fantasy tree Orochi and the Lostbelts cryptor Kadak Zemlopis. Even though the tree had chosen Ivan to be the Lostbelt king, he rejected Orochi's authority, refusing help from an alien god he deemed false. As a result, Orochi couldn't grow properly, making Kadak's Lostbelt the weakest of the bunch. Needless to say, Kadak did not approve of this. After all, Kadak was already considered to be the weakest mage of Team A. His family's bloodline was weak, meaning that his aptitude for magecraft was low. Regardless, he was chosen to be a master due to his aptitude for ray shifting, and he took great pride in this. Despite being masochistic and timid, Kadak was able to endure his inferiority complex and eagerly participate as a master of Caldea. Ultimately, however, his spirit was shattered when Lev Liner robbed Team A of their chance to protect humanity. He was infuriated to find out that, instead of himself, a pathetic rookie mage got to save the world.
Oh,
Thus,
okay.
Kadak performs his duties
Yeah,
as a
because
cryptor,
there's
in part to
already
prove to himself he
didn't
could
have
do a better
faith in her
job
or
than
whatever,
Reed's
right?
It's kind of lame,
Calling him
really,
weak, and it's
hoping to
like,
destroy humanity
yeah,
because he was
someone
denied
weaker than
his
him
chance to save
saved it.
Of course, the other factor pushing him forward were his feelings for his servant Anastasia. Oddly enough, Russia has at least two famous Anastasias. One, conveniently, was Ivan the Terrible's wife. The other, of course, was Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova, daughter of Nikolai II, the last Tsar of the Russian Empire. She is famous for accounts of the Russian revolutions that brought herself and her family to death by firing squad. Films like the Don Bluth animated Anastasia like to romance the idea that she somehow survived the ordeal, but in truth this was not the case. Instead, she was executed, but just before her death, she attained the ability to form a contract with V, a spiritual monster utilized by the Russian Empire. Thus, when summoned as a caster servant, Anastasia can rely on V's mystic eyes to dye her enemies in blood and manipulate ice. Being such a tragic figure, she doesn't open up much to others easily, but when she does, she can be quite caring and playful. As such, she begins to care about Kadak dearly. The two of them together decide that if Ivan won't support the fantasy tree, they will have to overthrow his rule and establish Anastasia as the rightful king of the Lostbelt. That said, Ivan's a terrifying mammoth, and killing
Yeah, I
him
can
wouldn't
definitely
be
see
so
that,
easy.
right?
Thankfully, they didn't have to. Ivan's initial attempt to restrain the fantasy tree exhausted him, putting him into a deep slumber. This activated his noble phantasm, Chornij Oprichniki, conjuring an army of his royal guards, the Oprichniki, or Black Dog Corps. While Ivan was asleep, Anastasia could control the Oprichniki while pretending to be his wife. To help legitimize this facade, Kadak and Anastasia
Yeah.
received help from Rasputin
Okay.
Kire.
So,
you
yeah,
know,
there he
the son of a
goes.
bitch who killed Da Vinci.
Yeah,
I mentioned
Kira,
in the
right?
previous video that he's an agent of the alien god.
Okay,
a
but I
pseudo-servant
think
summoned with the
I
spirit
think
of
I've seen
Nikolai
those guys
Rasputin
before,
inside
right?
the body of Kire
The
Kotomina,
previous
who
one that he
presumably
showed before
died in
this,
2004.
in that all
In
black.
proper human history, Rasputin was a self-proclaimed holy man, cherished by Anastasia's family, after presumably curing the Tsar's son, Alexei, of hemophilia. While the royal family treated him well, the people began to accuse him of heresy and adultery with the Tsar's children. True or not, these accusations painted the Romanov dynasty poorly, and many blamed him for Russia's decline. In other words, Rasputin played a key part in the collapse of the Romanov dynasty, which included Anastasia's death. As a servant, he serves the alien god, but his ultimate goal is to see Anastasia take over as the Russian Lostbelt Tsar. If he can accomplish this, he has no problem giving up control of his body to Kire. In order to fool Ivan the Terrible, as well as Anastasia, Rasputin refers to himself as Ivan's mentor, Metropolitan Macarius. This helps pacify Ivan when he awakens, but to keep him asleep for as long as possible, Rasputin sought help from a different servant. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who we introduced way back.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say Mozart, because okay, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to remember him.
In life, he was a
But
prodigious
yeah,
music
definitely looking
composer
unique,
whose
right?
works are some of the most famous in history. His noble phantasm, Requiem for Death, was capable of putting Ivan the Terrible to sleep, and so he was brought to the royal palace to perform continuously. He played his piece for 2 months straight, but asking a servant to deploy a noble phantasm for that long is kinda ridiculous. He knew his spirit origin wasn't up to the task, but thankfully he knew he could pass the torch to his good friend Antonio Salieri. I say this somewhat sarcastically, because while in life Salieri and Mozart were friends, their relationship was strained by baseless rumors that overshadow the truth. Salieri was a renowned operatic composer in Vienna, and while he was certainly impressed and inspired by Mozart's own compositions, the two remained respectable peers. Salieri
Oh, wait,
even
okay,
taught
yeah,
as
looking
Mozart's
nice there.
protege and son.
Okay. Yeah,
In
definitely looking
1820,
unique.
however, a legend
Okay.
emerged claiming Salieri, out of envy and
Oh yeah, the other
incompetence,
guy,
had
man,
murdered
right?
Mozart in an attempt
Okay,
to stay
yeah,
relevant.
okay.
Whether through
Yeah,
poison
liking that
or
design right
psychological
there.
manipulation, people began to believe Salieri pushed Mozart to his untimely grave, despite Salieri's own denial. Well, in fate, even baseless rumors have power, so long as they're famous enough. In Salieri's
Oh, so
case, as a
memoir
servant, he
of
manifests as an
Antonio
innocent
and
monster,
yeah, Salieri,
an anti-hero
right?
who derives strength from his sullied reputation. When he was summoned into the Lostbelt, much like Mozart was, he resisted a compulsion to make the rumors true by killing his rival. Nonetheless,
Twinkle,
Salieri
twinkle,
visited
little star,
Mozart in the
okay.
palace, just as Mozart grew too weary to continue playing. Truly believing it best to keep Ivan the Terrible asleep, Mozart used this as an opportunity to have Salieri take his place at the piano. Before vanishing,
Put a
Mozart
curse
put
on
a
him.
curse on Salieri that caused him
Okay.
to believe he was Amadeus' alter. As Ivan lacked the
Oh, and
sensitive
that-
ears
oh,
to
and
tell
that's
the
how he
difference,
transformed?
Salieri's playing continued to preserve his slumber
Okay, and then
like
he
before.
just disappeared after
In addition
that.
to Mozart and Salieri, the counterforce also summoned 3 other servants. First, we have Atalante Alter. I spoke of her way back in Okeanos, the famed archer of the Argonauts, known for her desire to help wayward children.
Oh, wait, the
One of her
Argonauts.
life's greatest
Okay.
achievements was slaying the Caledonian
Yeah, I'm really trying to
boar
remember
sent
that.
to ravage the
Because
earth.
I don't...
The boar's pelt is cursed,
Ah.
turning its wearer
Okay,
into
well,
an
seeing her like this, I
beast.
remember
Thus,
from just this
Atalante Alter is
Lostbelt.
the
Wait, let me pause it real quick. I just remember from this Lostbelt looking at this outfit, but yeah, I don't remember being in the Argonauts. Right? Yeah, because I think I remember seeing her like in the animated clips, right? You know, her running like with other wolves, or well, Yaga, right? Yaga.
Berserker form of
But
Atalante, under the
yeah.
boar's
Oh, and he said
influence.
she was
It brings
berserker
out her
too.
baser, violent desires.
Okay.
But unlike other berserkers, her madness enhancement
But
doesn't inhibit
yeah,
her
try to remember
rationale.
that though.
She was summoned with enough time to watch how Ivan's rule from Yaga Moscow oppressed all the Yaga from smaller villages who struggled to stay fed. These villages had to pay a tax to Moscow in the form of food, giving up the demonic beasts they hunted even as their numbers dwindled. Hoping to liberate these Yaga, Atalante Alter formed a rebellion against Ivan, fighting against the Oprichniki for 3 months. Then we have Billy the Kid, the juvenile outlaw
Yeah,
of the
Billy the
American
Kid.
Wild West, known for
Yo,
killing 21 people by his
okay.
21st birthday. He was summoned
Oh,
alongside
21
Beowulf,
people for
the king from the
21st
famous
birthday.
epic poem in which he slayed the giant Grendel and battled against a fire-breathing dragon. While we encountered both of them before in the American singularity, the ones here in Russia are different incarnations from those recorded in Caldea's spirit graph. During those first 3 months, they wound up protecting a band of male Yaga, some of who eventually rejected their help and became bandits instead. The last factor in this Lostbelt
Definitely
is
know who that
Miyamoto
is.
Musashi. We already know she can travel between different worlds,
Yeah.
and she just so happens to wind up in this Lostbelt as part of her journey. She spent her time wandering the winter hell, slaying bandits in Oprichniki, declaring herself a member of Caldea. With all that said, let's summarize everything once more. The Russian Lostbelt came as the result of a timeline in which the Earth was thrown into an eternal winter. Its king, Ivan the Terrible, turned himself and his people into a race known as the Yuga in order to survive the cold. He tyrannically ruled over Russia for centuries, until the Lostbelt was chosen by the alien god. Ivan rejected this intervention and resisted the growth of the alien god's fantasy tree, forcing Kadok, Anastasia, and Rasputin to restrain him through slumber. Various servants are summoned by the counterforce, and all of them take up different roles in the ordeal. This is where Caldea finally comes into play. Our initial jump into void space caused damage to the Shadow Border's armor, preventing us from performing another zero sail. Even worse, both rations and energy are running low on the border, so we're left with no choice but to return to normal space within the storm wall of Russia's Lostbelt. After all, our only reference point to this new world is the Oprichniki that attacked Caldea's main base. When we emerge in the middle of Russia's eternal winter, the border cannot move. We have to investigate on foot like we did for the singularities.
That's a lot right there, okay. I mean, like, the whole screen is just white, right? Yeah, definitely an endless winter, right?
Thus, it's up to Ritska and Mashu to once again venture into the unknown. Sadly, Mashu's not in any shape to fight. It's practically just two mortals going into danger, armed only with mystic codes to protect them from the freezing winter. At least Mashu's is nice and fuzzy. Our goal is to find a spiritual ley line. Doing so will let us make use of the spirit origin briefcase Da Vinci preserved from Caldea. If we can charge it with enough energy, we can summon a legitimate servant. Unfortunately, it's not long before we're attacked and overrun by demonic beasts. Our journey would have ended right away, if not for the intervention of a very special Yaga named Patsy. Like all the other Yaga, Patsy was born into this frozen hellscape.
So Patsy, right? Okay, yeah, definitely need to remember him because I know.
After his father
he's
died,
definitely shown a lot,
he took
right?
over caring for his mother, who had grown forgetful in her old age. He's cynical about this world, and his lack of blind obedience often gets him in trouble with his fellow Yaga and the Oprichniki. Thankfully, despite his unsociable nature, Patsy's a good guy who saves us from the demonic beasts, and even escorts us back to his village. He takes a liking to us after we tell him we're also enemies of the Oprichniki. That said, he doesn't trust us, and won't give us info without compensation. Apparently, the only people he knew that looked like ordinary humans were Ivan's mages. We might think he looks weird as a wolf man, but to him, we're the weird ones. Sherlock is able to use the Shadow Border to scan for new demon beast hunting grounds, and offers their locations to Patsy in exchange for his cooperation. Patsy goes off to confirm the hunting grounds, and while we're waiting for him, Ritska and Mashu build a kite they can use to conduct electricity as a means of charging the briefcase. When we try to leave the village, we see Koyenskaya, the Tamamo tale from my previous video, trying to exploit the villagers with overpriced meat. As an agent of the alien god, she can travel between Lostbelts at will, running an organization called NFF Services. This initially comprised the private military Gordolf used to occupy Caldea, but as part of the Lostbelts, Koyenskaya uses the organization to train various monsters she can use to attack Ritska's party. She sees us in the village, but at this point proclaims we're too weak for her to even bother with. She probably could have ended our journey right then and there, but I guess that's not her top priority. Odd. The Oprichniki in the village are looking for sympathizers of the rebel army, and to save themselves, the village Yaga rat out Patsy, even though he's not even in the rebellion. Regardless, Patsy returns and defends himself, shooting the Oprichniki, and to save him, we escape the village with him. He's confused why we, weak humans, would risk our lives to save him, as he cannot fathom a world in which people could be that selfless. Still, by our request, he takes us to the nearest ley line, where we proceed to gather lightning and use it to summon our very first servant. Instead of summoning one of our own contracted servants, we wind up summoning a servant responding to the counterforce's plea, a new servant named Avicebron.
Wait, what? Wait, what did you say? It's Avicebron or something? Okay.
Who coined the system of magecraft known as Kabbalah.
I don't know, to find some nickname for him or something, right?
And the development of magecraft. His primary claim to fame is the creation of golem familiars, artificial beings made from earthly materials animated through mana. His golems are especially intelligent and can be ordered to perform many tasks from combat to manual labor. His lifelong dream was to create a special golem, called Golem Kater Malkuth, that was meant to be a recreation of the primordial human Adam. He died before its
Oh, he
completion,
got
so as a
4
servant,
arms.
he
I didn't
strives
even
to
see that,
accomplish what he
right?
could not in
Yeah, I'm
life.
like, something looks
In
weird,
this
right?
Lostbelt, however,
But yeah, I can see
Avicebron
it.
has an epiphany that further develops how servants work in the Nasuverse. Hopefully, by now you understand that fate consists of various parallel universes.
Yeah.
Servants from the Throne of Heroes can be summoned into many of these universes, but
Well,
it's assumed that they
I
are
don't know, I
separate
might have seen them
incarnations of the
before.
same heroic spirit. As such, a servant summoned into one world will generally not remember any other instances in which they're summoned. Cases like Artoria are unique, and servants generally lose their memories every time they're defeated and resummoned, even on the
Yeah.
same timeline. Apparently, however, it is possible for a servant to maintain their memories, at least very vaguely, as Avicebron seems to recall things he did in Fate Apocrypha's timeline. In it, he was a real dick, whose ambition for creating his ultimate golem was so strong that he betrayed and sacrificed his own master, Rocher.
Okay.
The
Yeah, I
Avicebron
can
reads
see
the
that.
summons, is aware of this cruelty,
Yeah,
and
trapped
as
him
such
up
dedicates
inside of
himself to
there.
earnestly protecting the human order, even though he doesn't even like humans.
Oh, and he's
Well,
just gone.
that's great
Okay.
for us, considering he's perhaps the best
Oh,
servant we can ask for in our situation.
Avicebron. Okay.
Thanks to his patented
Yeah, I
flux
need it
golem,
like
he
typed
can
out
solve
or whatever,
practically every one
right?
of our problems with the
Spelled
golems he
out and all,
creates.
like.
They can be used for
Yeah, 'cause I'm
combat,
like, hold up, how do you say that, right?
protection, warmth, and other well-needed tasks like repairing the Shadow Border's damaged armor. So long as he has the necessary materials, he can make as many golems as he needs. Now that we have a functioning party, we decide to try and find the rebel army. Patsy follows up on some intel he had to take us to their base. At first, the rebels suspect us of conspiring with Ivan, but eventually the misunderstanding is cleared when Atalante Alter arrives. She knows we're not the same master and servant working with Ivan, and based on our desire to join her cause, she welcomes us into her stronghold.
Okay,
We form a mutually
so.
beneficial relationship,
Oh wait, well let me
exchanging
see.
information and services to learn more.
Yeah,
about
'cause
how
I think
this
I'ma
Lostbelt
just-
works. We join her forces, hoping
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just end it off right
to defeat
here,
Ivan,
like.
and she gives us our first mission.
Okay, so yeah, end it off right here. So yeah, pick up where the mission is. So yeah, like I said, I just don't got much time right now. So yeah, I'm gonna just finish this off real quick. So actually, I made it through about more than halfway about here. So yeah, I think I only got like 15 minutes left afterwards. But yeah, definitely get the story around this. Wait, let me see. Just want to make sure. Okay, so I'm about like 20 minutes and okay. Before I move this. So, well, actually, I don't know. I don't think I've seen him before. It's probably someone else I'm thinking of, right? Like when I saw him animated. But definitely can see what his name is, right? 'Cause I'm like, yeah, I need that spelled out or something. But I mean, yeah, luckily, yeah, I just looked at Caldea, so at least I know some about that. I know about the Shadow Border. I know about, everything like, that's going on in the beginning here, right? So it's like, yeah, at least I know about that. So I won't be like, okay, yeah, 3 months later, right, after all this happened. It's like, yeah, basically I wouldn't even know how this even started, right? Or even what that is in the background, right? So yeah, it just all came together, right? Now Ivan, I think I have, but then there's been like many gods or whatever that I've seen before, so yeah, but yeah, get to know about it, and definitely get to know about him as well. Oh yeah, I need to remember his name too. I forgot it. I know it's sort of like a C or something, I think. But yeah, definitely know about him, and then Anastasia, right? I think is her name. And then yeah, Kide. Well, I know it's not. Yeah, it's not actually Kide though, right? It's just Rasputin, as a servant. But yeah, I mean, it still is the face of Kide, and it's actually still his body, but still, good to know that I at least know about him. What he's done. So yeah, Mozart. Yeah, I can easily remember that because of the music, right? And then you got this other guy too, right? Salieri. Okay, yeah, him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to remember her, right? And then Patsy, right? Patsy or something like that, right? I think Patxi. So Yeah, definitely. Oh, wait, yeah, there it goes right there. Yeah, Patsy or whatever. Um, but yeah, other than that, yeah, that's pretty much about it. Oh, and Billy the Kid. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna just pick up on this mission, right? Cause yeah, I feel like yeah, that's gonna start the end of this. And then after that, that will be it, right? So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to like, subscribe again, and y'all see you guys in the next one.